This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN Live, and we're here at the 2016 LD Micro Invitational in Bel Air, California. With me right now is Ted Adams from IDW Media Holdings. It's a publicly traded company with the symbol IDWM. Ted, welcome to SNN Live.
Thanks, Bobby. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you on the program. So for our audience that may not know the story of IDW yet,
Sure.
Let's get an overview
Okay.
of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, that sounds good. So we are IDW Media Holdings, and we have two core business segments. We have a business called CTM, and what we do there primarily is travel brochures. So when you go to a hotel and you check in and you see those brochures, we control that rack space. And so we have 14,000 distribution points from the Midwest to the East Coast of the United States and parts of Canada. There's also a digital version of that, a reader board called eTractions, which is a separate business that provides that information digitally. So those are the CTM businesses. And then we also have the IDW businesses. And IDW has primarily three businesses. There's a publishing division that does comic books and graphic novels, a games division that does board games and card games, and our entertainment division that does TV shows, where we finance and develop TV shows.
So I want to know a little bit about the history of the company. Where did you guys start, and how do you end up to where you're at today?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I actually started the IDW businesses in 1999. So those were businesses that I started. The CTM businesses predated us. They started in the 80s. And our common point is Howard Jonas, who's one of the founders and chairman of IDT. He bought both the businesses. I'm not exactly sure, honestly, when he bought CTM, but he bought the IDW, a majority interest in the IDW businesses in 2007, and then he spun us out as a separate publicly traded company back in 2009.
So, all right, we have many different divisions here.
Right.
You know, let's break it down by segment.
Okay,
Tell me a little bit more about the brochure business, and then we'll get into, on the comic book and publishing side.
Okay, sure. So the brochure business, as I said, has been around a long time. We have 14,000 distribution points. And the brochure business has nice, steady but small growth. So it's a very profitable business for us. It's not going to be the big driver for growth for IDW, but it is a really solid business that has year-over-year growth.
It's your steady Eddie.
Right. It is absolutely the steady Eddie, and so that's kind of CTM. Okay. On the IDW side, the publishing business is very similar. It also has steady growth, a little more than CTM has with the brochure business, but it's been very steady over the years. We do, on the publishing business, we do two kinds of books. We do licensed things, where we take other people's entertainment properties, so things like Transformers and Star Trek, G.I. Joe, and we turn those into comics. And then we also do what we call create-our-own comics, where we're bringing something completely new to the world, and we either own or co-own those with the creators. So those are kind of the two things we do on publishing. And then the games division does something similar, where we do, again, these are physical board games and card games, and what we do there is licensed products. So we do X-Files, Godfather, Back to the Future. We have a Turtles game that'll be coming out sometime this year, which will be a big event for us. But we also have original creations. I actually have a sample here of a game that we brought over from Japan called Manchikoro. And this game, this was created by somebody in Japan and then brought here to the United States by us, and has been phenomenally successful for us. These games typically start at hobby game stores and then in success move to the big box stores. So this has performed extremely well for Target over the last 18 months.
So my question is on the licensing side of things. Where do you get the idea of saying, like, for instance, I saw the Fear and Loathing comic out there, and that's one of my favorite movies. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, wow, what a cool idea! It's now in a comic book form. Where do you evaluate the idea to think, okay, I really like this movie or that, maybe it might look cool as a comic, or I also saw properties where you're actually expanding upon a universe that was already seemingly ended.
Yeah.
How do you get the idea for that?
Yeah, so I have a really good editorial team, so it's not just me. There's a lot of folks behind me that do that as well. And we almost always are expanding stories. So we're very rarely doing adaptations. The Fear and Loathing book, I actually come to Fear and Loathing via the Hunter Thompson novel, not so much the movie. It's one of my favorite books, and so I had tried to get those rights for nearly a decade. So that was one I really had my fingers in. I'm actually an editor of that book, so I'm really glad you like that one. But typically what we do is, the way we've had success is we have to have somebody at IDW that's a real champion for the property. So the people that work on our Transformers books, they love Transformers. I mean, they live and breathe Transformers. They collect the toys. They know the movies. They watch the shows in the 80s. I mean, these guys truly, they don't bleed because you cut them because they're robots. These guys, they are all about Transformers. So, and that's really how we have success. The guys who work on our Turtles books, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be more clear, they absolutely love the Turtles. I mean, they just that's all they think about is the Turtles, and so that's where it works. It's that passion. In the early days of IDW, it was my own personal passion. We did CSI a million years ago, back when the CSI TV show was the #1 show in the country. And
CSI comic.
Yeah, we did a CSI comic, exactly. And thank you. And that was one that I actually worked on. So and that's how we've had success over the years. The people who work on our My Little Pony comics, they love the ponies. I mean, it's really, truly, nobody's just doing this as a job. Of course, everybody likes to get paid and they need the money, but they're doing this because this is what they are meant to do. So, and that's where success lies for us.
So what I'm curious about is the competition. You know, I'm sure there's a few people out there who probably thought, you know, maybe not so much Fear and Loathing, but maybe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'd love to make that into a more expanded comic book series. So can you give me a little bit of an idea of the competitive landscape?
Yeah, so our competitors, there's a couple of competitors in the publishing space in comic books, but I've been doing this for 25 years, and IDW has been around, as I said, since 1999. So licensors who control entertainment properties, we have relationships with all of them, and we are the premier publisher for licensed comic books at this point in the United States. So from a competitive standpoint, we're not really competing for licenses so much. We're in a lot of ways in that fortunate position where they come to us first, and we have the opportunity to decide if we want to do something or not do something. But our closest competitors, there's a company called Image Comics that does a lot of creator-owned comics, and they're very good at it. That would be a competitor. Dark Horse Comics does both licensed comics and creator-owned comics, and they're a competitor as well.
And what about your distribution? Where can I go and find one of these comics? Yeah,
so the nice thing about IDW is we have extremely broad distribution. So we make product for every channel. So everything from comic book stores, where most of the comic books are sold, all the way to the book channel for the collected editions. The collected editions are also sold through the comic channel, so we hit both of those there. The book channel, of course, includes Amazon. They're the big leader there. We have mass market for a number of our products. I actually have a sample of something that we do that's called the Micro Comic Fun Pack. And this is designed, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this is actually designed to be pegged. And so this is sold in the trading card section at all mass retail. So places like Walmart, Toys R Us, again, Target. So we have big box distribution. We have specialty distribution through places like Scholastic Book Fairs and book clubs. And then, of course, we have a very large digital distribution of our ebooks. And IDW has been the leader in that space ever since the very first flip phones. Remember back before we had all these fancy phones, the flip phones, IDW was actually selling content a panel at a time on those little screens. And so we were really the industry leader there. And then as you fast forward to 2016, we continue to be that. So we are completely platform agnostic and technology agnostic. We just want our content in as many places as we can get it. So a couple of deals that we did recently, we're right now on the new Apple TV. And so if you have a new Apple TV, I'd encourage you to take a look at it. It's in the Madefire app, M-A-D-E, and we have My Little Pony, Star Trek, and Transformers there. It's an amazing reading experience. So that's just one of our more recent deals.
So I also want to talk about real quick the media side on content creation, because from what I understand, you also have a couple television shows in production.
Actually, one on air.
On air, like I said.
Yeah. So we have IDW Entertainment, which is really unique to IDW. And what we're doing here is we're actually financing the creative development of these shows. And then as we go into production, we're either fully financing or co-financing the production of the shows themselves. We have a show right now on Sci-Fi that airs on Fridays at 10 o'clock called Winona Earp. So that's our first show that's on air. And we're shooting a show in Vancouver right now for BBC America called Dirk Gently.
And so now I want to get a little bit more into the business. I want to understand, where do you see as your biggest growth driver right now? Like, where are you putting more of your focus on, as the CEO and decision making?
Yeah.
What is it that you see?
Yeah, it's IDW Entertainment. So that's really the growth driver for the company is that it's building, it's not just the revenue stream that comes from TV, which is much larger than what we can do from individual comics, but it's also, we're building a library that's going to be have tremendous value for shareholders for a really long time. So IDW Entertainment, as you look at IDW in 2016 and on, that's going to be the real driver for growth. The games business is also really growing at a very quick pace, but it's IDW Entertainment that's really going to drive our growth.
So you have from what you can tell me, do you have a few projects in the hopper then right now?
Sure. Yeah. No, we can absolutely talk about that. So we have the show on the air, the one that we're shooting. We have another show called Brooklyn Animal Control that we shot a pilot for USA, and that one's still in development as well. And then we have somewhere around 7 other projects where we have pilot scripts written, and we're about to go to market with those. So and we're constantly putting more into our pipeline. So this is, you asked where I spend a lot of my time. This is where I'm spending a lot of my time.
And what's your background? I know you gave it a little bit, but how did you get into comics and all this?
So I knew at a very young age I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so unfortunately I'm one of those nerds who like books and comics from well, maybe not unfortunately, it worked out all right for me, but I've been reading my entire life. So my dad was a really smart guy and was a business leader and a political leader, and so I really looked to him on how to become a CEO and how to do that. But I knew from a very young age I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to work in publishing, so when I went to undergraduate, I got a business degree. I went and worked for some publishers. Then I went and got my MBA at Notre Dame. Went and worked for some more publishers and some entertainment companies. Really trying, and typically small companies, because I wanted to learn what I liked from those companies and what I didn't like from those companies. And then when I started my own business, I was able to kind of pick and choose the things that I liked and didn't like. So, but I'm a pretty focused guy. So I sort of knew exactly what I wanted to do. The company has grown bigger, frankly, than I expected. Being CEO of a public company sometimes doesn't allow me to be as entrepreneurial as I would like to be. But that's really how I got into all of this.
So okay. From what you can tell me, again,
okay,
we got to make sure that. What I'd like to know is what are some of the milestones and catalysts for the business moving ahead, maybe going into 2017 and second half of 2016?
Yeah, I think the thing that you can look at is if we're getting shows on the air, that means we're being successful. Yeah.
Succinct, I like it. So where can our audience go and find more information about the company?
So you can go to IDWmediaholdings.com, and that'll direct you, give you lots of information about the public company, and then also direct you to all of our subsidiaries.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN Live, and we're here at the 2016 LD Micro Invitational in Bel Air, California. With me again has been Ted Adams from IDW Media Holdings, publicly traded company. The symbol is IDWM. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Bobby. This is fun.